time for us to find out a little bit more about this revolutionary blockchain technology and how it can enhance trust in both record keeping as well as your financial transactions. And to now speak to us about blockchain and cryptocurrencies and why it is crucial, especially at this point of time, for us to embrace this blockchain, it's my pleasure to now invite on stage the community manager at Mobiglotech Blockchain Corp. He's also known as Crypto Guy. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let's welcome now Evan Pereira. Let's put our hands together for him.
Good morning. Welcome, everybody. Whether you know it or not, you're about to, how should I put it, be exposed as investors to something really incredible. If you listen carefully and you understand, ask the questions, you will find out that this is almost a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm not saying that Exip is the only place that you can find that, but it's definitely a place in Sri Lanka at this point in time that you're incredibly lucky to be in this audience and have an exposure and a possibility of getting into something wonderful. So with that, let me kind of try to explain how this whole thing, not how this whole thing works, that's impossible, but give you one part of what we are about. So how many of you, I believe it's everybody, but how many of you have heard about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies? Please. Are there people here who have not heard? Okay. So, this whole game of cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, blockchain, this all came about for one main reason. And that's because somewhere down the line, people began to figure out that the people in power, the elites, the governments, the politicians, these people basically get everything and the rest of us are left with crumbs. Almost in any concern, we are left with the crumbs. Now granted, there are some of us who might get a few more crumbs than the others, but the whole bread loaf definitely does not come to anybody in this room or a whole lot of people that we are around. Those are the people that people know as the 1%ers. So back in 2006, 2007, 2008, there was that big crash. Okay, everything from banks to financial institutions almost collapsed. The entire financial industry of the world almost collapsed. And with a bunch of manipulation, with a bunch of printing money, with a bunch of bailouts, somehow or other, they were able to scrape by and keep things going. During that time, there was, well, no one knows whether it was one person, a group of people together, but we call him Satoshi Nakamoto. He figured out one of the best ways that we can handle this or take the power away from these people is to create a monetary currency that is completely 100% independent of the rest of the financial world. Today, the only people who can officially print money is countries, central banks, and they do whatever they want to enrich the richer people and to constantly and consistently downtrod and make worse the situation through inflation, through a whole bunch of other things for the rest of us. So Satoshi came up with this technology or idea to create money that is completely private. And that's where Bitcoin began. So in 2009, January, he created his first block. Now, blockchain, this whole thing about blockchain, guys, don't worry too much about understanding this whole thing. Blockchain is just a ledger. It's just kind of like you have a transaction or a bunch of transactions that's put together in a block. The next block is built upon that, So it's a whole set of blocks laying in a chain. That's all blockchain is. Now, we don't need to understand the whole concept of blockchain to be able to use this technology. It's almost like buying a car. You can buy a Ferrari, you can buy a Ford, you can buy anything you want. You don't really have to know how the engine runs. So there's the hybrid engines, there's electric cars, there's the whole combustion cars. We don't care. We just need a good vehicle, get in it, and do our thing. So that's what these cryptocurrencies and tokens are all about. As we know what it's going to do, we know a car will get us from point A to point B. How we get to that, is it a comfortable car, is it a rough ride? That is all dependent on which currency we choose. So there's almost 10,000 cryptocurrencies now doing different things, but it all started with Bitcoin. He laid out the plan, and everybody else followed. And once he's figured out, or once the world figured out, we can apply this to financial gains, other people started to come in and apply it to other different sources. Okay? So today's cryptocurrency, there is probably about, I would venture to say about 5% that deals like a currency. The rest of it is all revolving around some other technology or some other useful matter to the world. Okay? It could be GPS systems. It could be kind of like us recording websites, owning domain names. Okay? So there's a vast plethora of those, and today we are just going to focus on one of them. Once again, what is the main crux of this whole reason for blockchain to develop and for blockchain to take off and for a whole bunch of people to come into this field? The answer is very, very, very simple, guys. One thing: privacy. Privacy and control. Today, everything in this world, like I said, are controlled by the elites, by the financial games, by the politicians, because everything is centralized. So if you take the Sri Lankan government, for example, let's put the government, central bank, all the banks, all the financial institutions, you, me, my bank account, everything is controlled by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, who knows everything that we do, every transaction we do. They can freeze our accounts, they can do whatever they want at any time they please. This is what we are trying to avoid. This is what blockchain is all about. Because rather than allow one entity, no matter how big, no matter how good we think that entity is, rather than allow one entity to control everything, we are saying, no, no more. We are going to take that system and break it up into so many little pieces. So, example, if I write a letter, the whole letter is not stored in one place. That letter, 2 digits of this is stored in his computer, 2 digits on his computer, 2 digits on... So nobody, that's why it's unhackable. Because in order to get all that information, somebody would have to control the entire thing, which is centralized, and we are purposely breaking it up into so many pieces that not one person can break it, hack it, or control it. Therefore, getting the power back to the people rather than the central authority, whoever that may be. That could be Amazon, that could be Google, that could be the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, that could be the US Federal Reserve. Doesn't matter. We are taking the power away from them. So, this is one of those, this whole blockchain technology is one of those events that is a massive event of change that will transfer or shift wealth from one set to another. A shifting of wealth. That happens, folks, very, very, very rarely. Huge wars will do that. If you want some examples, the railroad in the US did that. The oil, suddenly when they started using oil, the combustion engine, that did that. These are major, major events that changed the entire course of human history. And this is one of them. Blockchain, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, this is one of them. So, basically what we're all about is we want to not privatize, we want, privatize so that nobody has the power to be able to take it away from us. Okay? So having said that, what is, we talked about decentralization and talked about cryptocurrencies being one of the most successful things. We talked about Bitcoin and blockchain. Okay? Now, why? What are cryptocurrencies? Well, we explained that. So, like I said, remember I said, guys, there is about 8,000, 9,000, 10,000. I mean, these things pop out from every place now, doing different things. So Exip is also going to do something different. Let me give you an example of what different things means. Do I see anything here? Neo, Ethereum Classic, okay. Let's say a coin, there is a cryptocurrency, I wouldn't call it a currency because using the word currency is now wrong. Because there's only a few of them that are specifically geared to be used as currencies. The rest of it gains value, but think of it almost like a share. They're not there to be transacted as money, but as a share in some big project. Okay? So everybody's heard of GPS, correct? GPS is controlled by different satellites, different governments, militaries. Now Tesla is putting his own satellites. Doesn't matter. These are not things that we can tap into. Okay? If they decide to shut it down, nobody can do anything about it. If they decide to take Sri Lanka and say, look, no more satellite feeds for you, no more GPS systems for you, because we don't like the way you're behaving, for whatever reason, you're done. Think about how you would go about life today. Even the simplest of us, even the little child, will completely and totally be messed up if GPS systems goes down. Whether it's time, whether it's their schedules, everything is working under the GPS system. Right? Now, there's a company, I believe the name is Foam, F-O-A-M. Foam came up with a beautiful idea. They said, hey, we are going to create our own GPS system, but we are going to let individuals, wherever they live, they are going to make a small little node, and then that becomes a little node for Foam. Like that, thousands of people around the world are now making their little nodes. So pretty soon, spread out wide enough, if the GPS system goes down, we have another blockchain solution that is completely decentralized and privatized that nobody can stop anybody from using. All right? So now let's get into Exip. All right. So we all know about websites, correct? So Amazon.com, Sri Lanka gov, all these are website names. Now, these are all controlled by two entities in the whole world. Just because we have an LK designation does not mean that Sri Lanka is controlling that. Nope. Where is my slide? All right. So Anna and I can control every single website in the world today. What do I mean by control? Well, they give us permission to use it. First, we have to go and purchase it. We have to go and book it. Oh, they'll check it and make sure that nobody else is using it, and then they'll give it to us. Then we take that and we have to pay money for it and register it, and now we have the use of that. However, there is one little tricky situation. We do not own that website. We don't own it. They own it. Anytime they want, they can take it away, they can lock it up and throw away the key. You can build the most wonderful business and be doing millions of dollars worth of business. If they decide to shut you down, they will shut you down. Now, people think, but that doesn't happen in the real world. Of course it does. About 3 or 4 months ago, going back to Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, there's a whole bunch of things happening there with the election. And certain big social media companies decided that they were going to oppose Donald Trump. A lot of it was happening on Facebook. And Facebook started stopping messages, canceling messages, taking them offline. So another company, then, and a whole bunch of people who were conservatives, who were supporters of Trump, started dropping Facebook. And most of them started going into a different app called Parler, P-A-R-L-E-R. Suddenly, within months, Facebook people were dropping, Parler was just increasing leaps and bounds. Guess what happened? Google and what's the one? Google and somebody else just completely stopped anybody being able to find that site. But still people knew about it. People were emailing each other. Somehow they knew, and they were still joining. Now, unfortunately for Parler, they were hosting their website on the Amazon servers. Amazon woke up one day and decided, no more are we going to let Parler. They just shut it down. All their servers, they removed Parler. So suddenly here's this thing that had millions of people joining, and just like that, overnight, nobody could access it. This is some serious stuff, guys, okay? The big boys are controlling this. Twitter has banned Donald Trump. No choice. Done, gone, okay? Now, this has been happening, privacy issues, cancellation. That's the newest trend. They don't like something, they cancel you. They remove you. You have spent years, hours, millions building a company that works on a platform, and suddenly, poof, it's gone. That is what Mobiglotech is trying to prevent. Because we are in a situation where we are trying to, not that we are trying to, we have succeeded in giving you your own control over your own website. Rather than register with ICANN or IANA, you now get to do it through a blockchain via the Exip method. Once you do that, nobody can shut you down. More to the point, like I said, if you get it doesn't matter what website you get, you had to first reserve it, you had to go through the whole issues with them, make sure it's okay, then they finally give it to you. And guess what, folks? Every year they send you a little notice saying, hey, your $30 is due, your $50 is due, whatever it is. And so you keep paying, and you keep paying, still never knowing that they can, whenever they want to, they can take you out. Guess what? Exip is offering, you can create now. We don't even have to go through and deal with the .com. We can make it whatever you want. I can make it .avan, right? Whatever is available, we can do it, we can register it, and now the biggest thing is we will own that forever. One payment, one time, we own it forever. Folks, if you get the power of this, if you really, really, really get the power of this, that you can go out and create your own domain, create your own TLD, and then own it for the rest of your life for a one-time payment. Later on, you might be able to sell it. You've heard of people getting websites and then selling. It happened in the first, when the websites first came. Some smart people got together. They took all the fun names, they took all the good names, and they stored it, and then they just waited. They just put up a website and said, this is available for sale for $1,000. They paid $30. You've heard of those stories. Well, we got another option here. It's coming up. So, how many are you going to purchase? How many are you going to allow them to purchase? Only one today, right? Okay. Don't worry about it. Coming up, we have many of them. So, folks, what I'm about to tell you is, this is an incredible opportunity. You're sitting at a place where not only can you actually get involved and do your thing, but you can actually get involved in the company, get involved in the Exip token itself, and hopefully it'll be the investment of a lifetime, that transfer of wealth that I was talking about. Thank you so much.